Dracula, formerly known as Vlad III Tepes, also known as Vladislav III, Vlad Dracula or Vlad the Impaler, and currently known as Alucard, was the ruler of Wallachia, Romania, and Transylvania, who is now the most powerful weapon of the Hellsing Organization, founded by Abraham Van Helsing. He is regarded as the most powerful vampire ever conceived and is even lauded as the king of all vampires. During his time as Vlad Tepes, his father was called Dracul, meaning dragon, or devil, in Romanian because he belonged to the Order of the Dragon, which fought the Muslim Ottoman Empire. In the 21st century, he currently works as the most powerful agent for the Hellsing Organization, founded by Abraham Van Helsing after he defeated the mighty vampire king. Dracula means son of Dracul in Romanian. Therefore, young Vlad was son of the dragon, or son of the devil. Scholars believe this was the beginning of the legend that Dracula was a vampire. Vlad was born to the fabled Vlad the Dragon and was also privy to his father's knowledge about the occult and the world of darkness that lives behind the veil of the mundane. As Vlad was favored by his father, he alone would come upon the knowledge of the supernatural, which was revealed to his father by an ancient vampiric oracle known as Durga Sin. Vlad lived in a time of constant war where Transylvania was at the frontier of two great empires, the Ottoman Turks and the Austrian Habsburgs. Treachery, vindictiveness, and revenge ruled the day, as young Vlad soon discovered. His father was summoned by the Sultan Murad, where he was accused of disloyalty, thus imminently placed in chains, and was forced to swear under duress an oath of obeisance. To make sure that the dragon understood the severity of these oaths, the Sultan had his two sons Radu and Vlad to be placed in his own custody as hostages under house arrest within the city of Igregos. In the midst of the Turkish court, Vlad and Radu were forced to learn every trick to survive. While Radu was considered to be weak, Vlad garnered a reputation much like his father for trickery, cunning, and insubordination. He had an impeccably strong will which the Sultan grew to admire and exploit for his own gain. Vlad and Radu learned a great deal of knowledge from their captors. But Vlad's thirst for knowledge far outclassed his brother's, which stemmed from his growing fascination about the occult he learned from his father. He was especially drawn to the inner dealings of shadowy vampiric societies that control vast quantities of human kingdoms behind the scenes. As he plotted to escape the clutches of Sultan Murad, Vlad's father was murdered, allegedly by conspirators within Romania, of which some claim to be vampiric in nature. The Sultan took the opportunity to use Vlad's burning desire for vengeance to allow him a small retinue to wreak havoc and bloodshed across Transylvania. Vlad unleashed his fury upon Targoviste, claiming the land of Wallachia for his own, but he knew of his perilous situation as he had enemies from the north and the Sultan to the south, knowing that it would not last. Regardless, he ruled over Wallachia for 2 months but fled to Moldavia due to growing insecurity of the kingdom and the murderers of his father plotting his own assassination. Once Dracula had assumed total control of Transylvania, he set his sights on his final goal. The Ottoman Empire, aided by the Hungarian king, the Impaler set forth to Turkish-controlled Istanbul and fought his way to the very gates of the hallowed city. But despite having fought tenaciously, Dracula's forces had taken many casualties, and he urgently sent out many messages to the king to send reinforcements, but no help ever arrived. Vlad retreated into nearby mountains, impaling people as he went, and also ordered his remaining troops, which were also comprised of mercenaries and outlaws, to sneak into the cover of night and encroach upon the Turks' encampment and slaughter them in their tents. But the Sultan managed to escape, with Dracula once again retreating.
When the Ottoman army attempted to invade Wallachia in the early 15th century, they encountered several thousand impaled and rotting corpses staked on the banks of the Danube River.
Historical records state that the Ottoman emperor saw his forces return shortly after, many of them sobbing and ranting that whoever had slaughtered all those people had to be the devil. The Turkish advance was halted because the Sultan could not bear the stench from the decaying corpses, and the Sultan was none other than Mehmed II, who is known for his use of psychological warfare. Unfortunately for Vlad, however, his reign came to an end when he was captured by the Turks and was to be executed accordingly. This happened when he was captured and imprisoned by the Hungarian king, who believed that Vlad was embroiled in a conspiracy with the Ottomans. However, he was released at the behest of Stephen Báthory, as he knew that Vlad was the only hope of defeating the Ottomans. His final crusades was spent battling the Sultan with the aid of Prince Stephen's army.
While the crusades were mostly successful, Vlad's stability waned and was left with an army of 200 after Prince Stephen's army pulled out of Wallachia. Not even his own people could aid him in their growing fear towards his bloodlust. He was eventually killed fighting the Turks near Bucharest, Romania. As he prepared for his impending death, Vlad internally prayed to an external force to save him from death, and someone answered.
Vlad entered a state of limbo as he peered into the pool of blood beneath him, and materializing before him was Satan himself. The devil was impressed by his sheer bloodlust and ferocity, but was also intrigued by his religious views, as Vlad believed that if they continued to constantly kill in the name of God, then he would finally present himself before his flock, as he would no longer be tolerant over the blood being spilled unto the lands. Satan then offered to make a deal with him, gifting him extraordinary power to destroy those who wronged him and to use it to establish himself as his own God, since the Abrahamic God did not appear when Vlad called out to him in exchange for his soul. Vlad accepted and gained immense demonic power by drinking the devil's blood, just as he was executed by beheading. Satan's blood combined with the blood of the Zimish that ran through his veins after drinking it from Dan III also turned him into the first Nosferatu. Dracula continued his raid on Europe, having his generals and their own armies seize many cities and towns while also harvesting their blood, but mainly for Dracula's own personal interests. His soldiers believed that Dracula was hoarding all the blood for himself, when in reality he was being manipulated by Absalom to use the blood and the slaughters of these villages to revive Absalom. In the meantime, Ingeris was able to gather 2 more individuals who were part of a prophecy foretold by an oracle. It was not until that Dracula also caught wind of the 3 individuals assembled by his own son who were standing against him and his goals that he became more desperate, which led to madness under the influence of Absalom taunting him on how he failed his family and people. Dracula resorted to using his own castle as a bomb by having the mechanism that moves the castle from one place to another appear high above the sky and drop it like a meteorite, ultimately resulting in destruction of cataclysmic proportions. After raiding Dracula's castle and destroying his top generals and most of his armies, Sparta, Trevor Belmont, and Saifa Belnades confronted the Vampire King himself. However, in the midst of the fight, they discovered that Dracula had been under the influence of the vampire god, Absalom. Absalom was able to manipulate Dracula into killing thousands of humans and harvesting their blood in order to perform the ritual of bringing Absalom back to the mortal plane. While they managed to halt the ritual, Absalom forced Dracula to consume the remaining reserves of blood and providing him with more than enough power to defeat the three heroes with a portion of Absalom's power added to his own. All the while they try to stop the mechanism that moves Dracula's castle and preventing it from dropping down onto the earth. After a long and arduous battle, Trevor, Sypha, and Sparta defeated Dracula, with Ingeras having to tragically deal the killing blow as Dracula's love for his son still lingered enough for him to subdue Absalom's influence over him and allow his son to destroy him. Sypha was also able to use her magic to take control of the core that moves the castle, and alongside Sparta were able to stop the castle from collapsing onto the earth. After this display of heroism, the Belmonts were hailed as heroes, with Ingeras now as the new voivode of Wallachia, granted the Belmonts amnesty and allowed them to live among the people once more alongside Sparta and Sypha's coven. Dracula's whereabouts, however, were unknown, as he was believed to have perished after a devastating final attack from Trevor, Sypha, and Sparta.